Welcome to City of Mist. This is the first scenario in a new mini campaign that we're going to do, and we want to kick off tonight with some day in the life of the guys. For anybody that happens to watch and they don't know what City of Mist is, the City of Mist, the city is the city. We're not giving it a name. It is almost like a concept of a city. It's noir, so it's modern day. We've got mobile phones, we've got computers and all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there might be little elements that creep in that's very, fists and guns, two-fisted and guns and hats and long trench coats and all that kind of stuff. So very elements of Sin City and superpowers or mythical powers emerging in this world and in the characters' lives. So that's the kind of backdrop. So you want to go for it, Vinzer?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us what your normal day, or maybe it's not a normal day today. Tell us what brings you eventually to Sam's bar. Is it known as the Oak Bar or the Old Oak Bar? What are you calling it, Sam?
Yeah, I think the Old Oak Bar.
The Old Oak Bar. It sounds
formally, but
yeah.
It could be shortened down to just the Oak Bar.
Yeah, and the regulars just call it the Oak,
Mm-hmm.
So, knowing that we're going to be at the Old Oak Bar, have we been there before, or is this one of those things where we're just now deciding this is the first time where we're meeting?
I think you might have been here before. It could have been somewhere you've met a client or somebody you're working with. You've had a meet point or something like that.
Okay, so
I'll tell you just location-wise, the Old Oak is at the kind of blue-collar district, and it's probably just about half a mile, maybe to a mile down to the dock area. So you've kind of got the blue-collar area, and then it kind of, if you don't mind me kind of placing it, Jeff, it's kind of to the edge of that blue-collar area as it begins to go a little bit. It's not the industrial area, but it goes a little bit kind of, warehouses and stuff, and then down towards a little bit, about a mile down to the docks, etc.
Yeah, perfect.
Go ahead, Chris.
So, I'd say for Vinzer, just being a normal day for him, he wakes up to he's got this wristwatch that it's got an alarm, an alert system for it whenever he has another job or a pickup from his black market connections, and it wakes him up in his bed, in an apartment. The windows are open, still pretty dark out, and it's just buzzing and vibrating enough so it's not loud enough to wake anybody else up, but he's used to the feeling now that it just pulls him right out of his sleep. And he wakes up next to a woman, and as he's getting up and getting his stuff together, he starts throwing on his clothes and he knocks over this pair of scrubs that has a hospital ID on it, and it's got the name Camilla Galvez on it. And as he's getting things together, he's grabbing his messenger bag, throws it over his shoulder. He's walking over to the window that's open with the drapes kind of blowing from the wind. And he just takes one look back at the woman sleeping, and he just kind of gives a little bit of a smirk. And he sneaks out the window and down the what do you call those? The stairs that are attached to the side of the building that just start repeating themselves.
Fire escape.
The fire escape stairs. And he starts walking down those part way. and he gets to like the second turn, and he stops, and he's thinking to himself, what am I doing? And he kind of like reaches his hand over to the wall and touches an area that has like a shadow projected on it from one of the nearby streetlights. And as soon as he touches it, it's almost as if he slips into the shadow, and then he appears on the ground a couple more stories down in the alleyway. And he just continues on out down the street, and he's working his way down, and he finds this like one of those newspaper dispensers. It's a broken one. It's blue, and the door is busted, and he yanks it open some more, and he lifts up the bottom panel, and there's a package underneath, and he grabs that package and slips it in his messenger bag, and he starts making his way through the city on his way to his drop-off location. And you see, like, it's almost like a montage almost, where he's like doing this throughout the day. He's just going to different locations, picking up packages, dropping them off, slipping through the shadows, remaining relatively stealth, so to speak. And he gets to this one, and he reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out this I would say it's like a card that perhaps Raj gave him as a reminder, like a business card, almost like a reminder of this meeting place, or to meet at the Old Oak Bar at the set time that we gave. And he checks his wristwatch again, and it's roughly about that time, so he's ready to start kind of wrapping things up and doing like one or two more deliveries on his way towards the Oak Bar.
In your day-to-day life with Camilla, does she know the work that you do?
She knows that I'm a courier. She does not know for what means. She just thinks I'm practically like a bike messenger in the city. Though I don't own a bike.
So you go to, well, in her mind, perhaps you go to your place of work and you pick up the bike and you carry on with your day or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than not bring it home or anything like that. But
and tell us just a little bit of in terms of your themes that you have on your character. Tell us, so you're disappearing into the shadows. What's your? Have you got a question there for your mythos? Or a statement or something like that?
A statement is for it. I have it as umbrakinesis, or the control of shadows, and it just says, "I've always been able to control the shadows around me, but to what extent?"
And that was from a young age, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll maybe do a flashback at some point with that and get you to fill us in on what happened when you were young, you know.
Yeah, I got a couple that I can do.
Cool. Anything else you want to tell us, or we pass it over?
Just I guess an appearance for Vinzer, like what he looks like.
Go ahead.
He is typically like kind of like the messenger sort of like outfit. Like it's like a, not like a windbreaker jacket, but like the I forgot what the material is called. But it's like just a slick jacket. He's got a hood and the messenger bag that he has usually on him at all times. That's just like the staple for him to be able to carry everything. And you don't fully know like what his face looks like, at least for any of the rifted characters. What they see for him is just complete black and just white eyes, almost as if they're like just like animated, kind of like Spider-Man's eyes are animated in essence. So he's just completely shadow, and it's almost as if it's like a little ephemeral. His hair just kind of like waves a little bit, like just being like kind of spectral, hanging there. And he his hands are also like, his skin tone in general is like the same effect, but he typically wears like a pair of gloves on his hands, so that way you don't really see it that often. Long sleeves and long pants too, so it doesn't really show. But to the normal person, they would see him just as a normal person.
Sounds good. What about tell us one of your Logos themes where, you know, that normal part of your life. What's that kind of maybe the more important part of one of your themes there?
So for the smuggler one, it's just that I've become a reliable courier. I can keep calm under pressure, and I know my way around the city, almost like the back of my hand.
Cool. Let me ask you a kind of different question. Does Windsor enjoy his work, or is he conflicted about the kind of work he does, or is he, you know, it's just the means to an end, it's you know, money to live by, etc.?
Sometimes he's conflicted, just because sometimes he hears things that, you know, that happen in the city or something like that is on the news or something like that, and or just, you know, hearing the buzz, and his mind starts to wander and wonder if he contributed to that in any way, like not knowing anything about the things that he delivers, but he's just curious if ultimately he's partially responsible for that.
Is that actually one of your weaknesses, or is that just a thought in the way his psychology?
No, but I actually how many weakness tags do we normally get? Just one?
Just one. But I quite like that. Is it my fault?
I might change.
Is a good tag, so I'm going to take a note of it just in case.
Okay. Because I originally had I've made my share of enemies.
Right.
But I'll do that one instead. That actually is.
You can always have, you know, multiple weakness tags. It just gives me more to mess about with you with. Get you into bother. Cool. So you have this card of Raji's, is that right? And you're meeting up. What was the context of the kind of meet tonight, or being at the bar for you? Did you say? Or did you have one?
I think honestly, the way I want to do it for Vinzer is, Raj is talking to him in the cab about this meeting, and hands me the card, and I completely forget about it because something's going on at the moment. I've got something else on my mind, and it's one of those things where, like, I'm not trying to be rude to Raj, but I'm in a rush on my way, and I'm hearing him say stuff, but it's not setting in my head. So I honestly completely forgot what the meeting was for, and finding the card was complete accident. That I pulled it out of my pocket. I was like, oh shit, I got that tonight.
It was just kind of coincidental, and it's a great way to give it to another player to try and work that out. Great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Raj, what have you been up to today during your daytime, or even the previous night, if that's
during the daytime? I've mainly just been sleeping. But last night it wasn't too bad. No one was sick. That's always a benefit.
Were most of the drunks happy drunks that you picked up?
For the most part. I mean, there's always a little bit of abuse these days, you know. But no, it was okay. No one needed to be called, so that was okay. But I don't know. It could be busier. And, I don't know. The exchange rate's good, so the money I send back home is, it goes a long way. But I've still got to take into account the the rents in the city are very high.
Yeah.
Dive where I live, and well, I guess I'll just do a longer shift.
Yeah.
Friday night. Friday night's the one that makes money. Friday and Saturday night.
So maybe just a bit of a mundane kind of usual kind of
Yeah,
bog
nothing
standard
really.
day, and maybe your thoughts drifted at some point and back to when you had this experience. So we can do a little flashback for yourself. How has this strange occurrence in your life? How's that? What questions is that bringing up? And as you think back, maybe you're sitting in the taxi, last kind of couple of hires the night before, and it's died off. The town's dead now. There's not many folk. Only one or two drifters. What's going on in your life, and what this thing that happened where you nearly died? Why don't you just fill us in a little bit on that and where
The
that's
question
taken
I
you?
keep coming back to is why me? I mean, it started off. It was like a parlor trick. It was, people would get in the back of the cab, and I'd talk to them, and they'd remember stuff they lost, and it was like a running joke with all the other drivers,
Mm.
Then things started happening. Like I wanted to read a book, and I decided I was going to go to the bookshop and buy a copy of that book after work. And I started my shift, and I pick up my first fare. They get out. I look in the back. They've left a copy of that book behind. And just other things, like I kind of, I don't even know. I sort of see things from time to time, like in a flock of birds flying past, or in the steam coming out of a sewer vent. I see sort of pictures and shapes and
Kind of patterns.
Yeah, and they sort of show things that happen. But it's difficult to know what they mean at the time, but after it seems so obvious afterwards. But no, but the thing that really, I mean, all that was just kind of weird. But the thing that really set the ball rolling, I was dropping someone off at the docks, and I dropped them off, and I remember leaving, and everything was fine. And this big articulated truck, suddenly backed out from one of the docking bays, and I had to swerve to avoid it, and I went straight into the water. And I mean, I was in the water. The electrics were flickering in the car. The water was coming in through the cracks around the doors and the windows. I couldn't get my belt off, my safety belt, and I think I kind of blacked out for a second. And then the next thing I know, I was on the roof of a building downtown.
Right in the city?
Right in the city, in the financial district. It was...
was it one of the top banks?
And I still have my safety belt on. There was still water in the car. I mean, it poured out when I opened the door. I didn't see anyone take me up there, but there I was. And obviously the security guards arrived, and because I tried to open the door to get out, and it was alarmed. And then the police turned up, and Have you ever tried explaining something like that to the police?
No, I've never appeared on a
I
rooftop.
mean, they thought it was just some sort of hoax, some sort of prank, because it was all over the news. There were like news
Sure.
helicopters circling around the building.
Oh, the city news just loves stories like that, just the ridiculous and the wild,
But since then, I mean, that's not the only time it's happened. There've been other things, like sometimes I'm driving and I'm just you turn off, and the next instant I know I'm like 2 or 3 blocks ahead of where I was just then.
And maybe you just think initially you're thinking, oh, I'm just fading out a little bit. Maybe even that,
Yeah, I thought I was having problems with blackouts originally, but
yeah.
Then I started sort of, keeping an eye on the clock. And sometimes I got the radio on and I can hear the music. The music there's no jump in the music, no change in the music. It's the same song.
Mm.
It's weird. I mean, even on a normal day, I mean, this is only, I didn't even notice this myself, but it was just like a couple of passengers have pointed this out a few times, but I never get red lights. I can't remember the last time I had to stop at a red light. It's odd.
It's
But I
handy.
mean, the police. Well, I mean, as I say, it's happened again. And when I say it's happened again, I mean it has happened again. It was about 3 weeks ago, and some guy got in the back of my cab, and he had a gun. And this happens from time to time, and we're told, and the insurance company and the cab company all tell us just give them the money, and So I just went for the cash thing, to just give him the cash, to just get him the hell out of there. And the next thing I knew, I was back on that roof, and the car was on the roof. And there was a gun lying on the back seat of my car and some clothes, but the guy was gone, and they never found him. So I don't know whether I imagined that, and I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy.
And what roof were you on? Was it the same roof or a different one?
Oh, it's always the same roof.
You seem to go back to that building.
Yeah.
Were you was the car on the roof again?
Yeah.
They must love you there.
Well, the insurance company have already told me that if it happens again, I'm on my own. And it depends. I mean, if it happens at night, and if it's Jorge, the security guard at night, it's kind of okay, because we kind of know. I mean, it's not all. I don't always appear there with the car. That's only happened 2 or 3 times. Well, yeah, so far. But yeah, there have been other incidents where I've gone back to that roof a few times. And it's kind of okay at night, because I've got the guy's mobile phone number now. I can just sort of phone him up and he'll just let me out. I don't think he knows what's going on. I certainly don't. But if it's in the day, well, the day staff, the day security guards they're another kettle of fish entirely. They're nasty. They get the police involved. I've got a suspicion the police are watching me as well, because there's at least one of them who's. I mean, there's one guy, the guy I talked to first. I think he kind of believes me, but the other ones, they think this is they think I'm doing it just to get on the news or something. It's not making my life very easy, to say the least.
Mm.
Because I worry. I go to bed and I worry that I've started sleeping in my clothes because I'm just scared that I might go to bed and just wake up somewhere in my underwear, like miles away.
And by clothed, do you mean fully clothed? Like
yeah, fully clothed. Yeah, I can't put any sheets over me because it's too hot. I just kind of just.
What time do you normally get to bed after a shift? What time would you get in the morning?
Between about 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. depending on how busy it is.
And you would sleep to when do you think you would sleep to?
About 2 in the afternoon.
Well, it's funny you should mention your clothes because this morning or this afternoon, you seem to have lots of strange dreams. You seem to be. It was if you were almost flying over the city, and you're watching the districts below, but you can see the docks where you had your accident and your near-death experience, and you're leaving there and you're going in, you're flying over a residential area and you're heading into the town centre, and it's almost as if, like you're doing a taxi run, you're driving through the city from all the different areas, but you're like, up here at rooftop level. And you begin to hear a creaking noise. I don't know if you've ever heard like an iced river or something like that, or a frozen river, or ice when it begins to creak,
Yeah.
And there's this kind of creaking and crunching noise. And as you're flying over, and initially the experience isn't a bad experience, but as you're flying over, you're hearing, it's as if it's on the edges or the fringes of the city. And you know what the city's like. There's always a smoke belching out of the industrial area, and there tends to be late on at night when you're driving that kind of little trails of mist round about the streets, especially around the docks and around the edge of the city. It's always been that way. That's the way the city is. But you're hearing this noise, and you're hearing almost like a wind, a sound of a wind, but it's not blowing over you. It's almost like as if it's sucking you in. It's almost like as you're traveling over, it's a gentle experience, although you're traveling quite fast, but then it's almost, you feel a pull, like almost like the wind is drawing you in or sucking you in.
Where is it trying to pull me?
You don't know, but you can see that the more you feel the pull, it's like you instinctively feel like I need to slow down, and you begin to, as you're looking in through the cloud and also kind of the mist below, it's just this dark shape, and you're hearing this creaking and cracking noise, and it's getting louder and louder, and then suddenly you hear this crunch and this crack, and there's this just black gap in the distance on the edge of the city ahead of you, and everything seems to be getting sucked in, and now stuff's flying off the rooftops, and you even see a car flying up another car. You see people being dragged into it, and something horrible, and you just like a cold sweat feel. You're waking up, and you're freezing because you're lying on the rooftop, fully clothed.
Oh,
but you've not got your shoes on. You just put your socks on, kept your socks on when you went to bed. So that's where you find yourself at the beginning of today, or your day, which would be about midday or thereabouts.
Well, with a sigh of resignation, I'm just going to take my socks off and fold them up and put them in my pocket, dust myself down, straighten my turban, and I'm going to go over to the fire escape door, and a couple of feet away from the fire escape door, there is a cinder block leaning up against one of the air conditioning outlets, and I lift that up, and underneath it is a key. Take that key, I open the fire escape door, I put the key back under the cinder block, And I very gingerly start walking down the stairs, keeping an eye out. Because I have to go down 2 flights of stairs before I get to the top floor.
Mm-hmm.
At which point I then have to sort of open the door a tiny bit and wait until there's no one in the lobby. Because the top floor is like an executive floor. You're not really meant to be up here. But as soon as it's free, I'll dart out and press the button. And believe me, more than once I've had to do this, and there have been people getting on at other floors. Bad enough usually, but with no shoes on. Well, maybe I can just pretend I'm some sort of eccentric tech entrepreneur.
Oh, as you do that, as you press the button, you see one of the daytime guards that you really know doesn't like you, and he's got his buddy trailing behind you, and he's at a distance, he's away down the corridor, but he sees you and he recognises you, and he picks up his pace.
I'm going to very obviously just pretend that I haven't seen him and just sort of start doing this. Press the button a few more times.
So you hear him shouting, "Hey, you!" And as he shouts,
"Hey, how you going? Hey."
The receptionist clocks you. She was totally oblivious to the fact that you were there, and so I want you to roll a convince for me to convince this guy just to let you be and get out of there, because this particular guy he's a little bit nasty, and he's kind of almost suggested that maybe you're casing the joint for some kind of job or criminal gang,
Yeah.
So
I mean, last time he seemed to think that I was a terrorist, which is ridiculous because I'm a Sikh. You try explaining the difference to him? No.
Yeah, he's a bigot and he just doesn't care,
Right. So this is the first roll I've ever made in this game. So how do I do this?
So what we do for convince is have a look at your tags. And you tell me what you want, how you want to convince them with any of the tags at all, any of them from your mythos or your logos themes. If there's anything there, for example, if you had Gift of the Gab, that would be one, or if you've got any other thing, maybe you can, if you're struggling, you could maybe induce one of your mythos powers and maybe a memory will come back to him. Maybe you can kind of manipulate him a little bit.
Well, I'm going to try compelling personality.
There we go. That's an excellent one. Yeah.
I'm going to use.
So is this you kind of being humble or convincing?
This is me just saying, look, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to cause any trouble. I was actually just coming here to apologize for last time.
He kind of frowns and he's like, well, he sees you kind of trying to get out, and
I couldn't find the person I was looking for.
And then he looks down at your feet and you've got nothing on no socks or shoes on. Right.
It's a religious thing. We're 3 days at this time of the year. We have to go barefoot.
So how you convince him and his buddy is you roll 2d6. Mm-hmm. This game is all 2d6. And if there's, apart from your personality, if there's anything else you want to invoke for a point, that's fine. You can pick any of your...
There was a mythos ability that I was going to use if this doesn't work. So would I do this as part of this roll, or would I do that?
You would probably do it as part of this roll, and then...
Okay, well, I mean, what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to use my compelling personality.
Yep.
To just say, well, I came to apologize, and I know that we got off on the wrong foot, and I should have said that. Actually, what I should have said is that I'm barefooted because that's how people in my culture apologize.
Well, you can see that if you want.
He's a bigot. He won't know. But if that doesn't work, then I would like to use my just-in-time ability to just sort of, just at that moment, just kind of lean on the elevator, which then opens. Just sort of...
Okay, so let's use both of those tags, and it's one roll, and you want to roll at least a 7 with including your plus 2.
Okay. So that's that would be 5 with the +2. And that would be 11 with the +2.
Okay, so that's a great success. It says here under the convince move on the sheet, it says on a 10 plus, you can change the agenda, the person you're trying to convince, to include your agenda, at least for the time being. So really, you can totally manipulate this guy into your way of thinking in whatever way you want just now. And at that point, the lift opens, or, the door opens, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I just came really to show contrition and to apologise for the terrible misunderstanding last time. And I really don't understand what happened at all. And look, there's my lift. There's my elevator. I must be going.
Yeah, quite. He kind of just seems a little bit, stuck for words, and he's like, "Well, quite right then. Yeah, okay." And he just looks a bit confuddled as you go into the lift, and off you go. Okay.
Note to self: sleep with pair of shoes around neck.
So in the game, every time you make a roll, it's always 2d6.
Okay.
And the reason I asked you to include your Mythos one here was you wouldn't convince, and then if it didn't work, you would try another convince roll. It's kind of like it's a done deal then, So you want to tag on anything, that you feel is appropriate. And it's the same with all of the moves. Okay, so why don't
I just add one thing for what Raj was saying, that he can't remember the last time he had to stop at a red light.
Yeah.
So Vinzer had taken notice of this, not necessarily that there's never a red light, but that he always seems to get where he needs to go with Raj faster than any other cab in the city.
Yeah.
So that's why he consistently keeps calling Raj back, and that must be the reason why.
Yeah.
Those red lights, though, that's where cabbies make money.
And so on the day that you kind of particularly noticed that, Vinzer, you brought it up. You're like, you always seem to get the greens, and he's like, watch this, and he put his foot down, and you saw a row of street light junction, and as he drove down, just putting the accelerator up maybe another 5 to 10 miles per hour, green. They all changed in sequence, and you're like, I think I'll get this guy's card. So
that has to be it. I mean,
that's the kind of driver you want to use. Okay, so we'll come out of Raj's little situation, and we'll say it's evening. Okay, maybe tonight, Raj, I don't know, maybe the car's getting some work done on it, and you'll be getting it back in the morning or something like that. So you decide to have a little night off tonight, or you've got a meeting arranged or something. So let's go to the Oak Bar, and Sam, why don't you tell us what the Oak Bar looks like? What's it like? What's your kind of? I'm guessing it's one of these bars. You've got these really old diehard, regulars that are there day in, day out. What's your kind of clientele like, and what happens? And we'll maybe do a wee flashback for you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm picturing it as kind of basically a dive bar. I always mean to put more money into the bar, kind of fix things up a little bit, but just never seem to get around to it. Never quite commit to having that extra. The extra money just doesn't seem to be there to fix things. So, I mean, it's clean for the most part, but just a little bit. The decor is probably about 20 years out of date. It's got a big giant wooden sign out front saying the Old Oak Tree. Kind of that fake brick facade on the front. Really nothing fancy, the kind of thing that people just go to to get away, to hide from the city, to have a few beers, have a few shots, and just watch television or chat with the locals, or
maybe a little bit worn around the edges, and even maybe the security camera outside doesn't even work, but it's just got a blinking red light, so that's good enough for you, and you meant to get a new one, but there was other costs at the time.
Yeah. And of course I tend to pick up a lot of the dock workers that come in, so they stop by after work.
You've noticed actually recently in the last kind of month or so, there seems to be a change with some new kind of guys. Dock workers have been coming in at lunchtime for the lunch, and so that's good, because that's a good little earner for you. A little bit more money going in the till, just kind of for the snacks and stuff, the basic lunch snacks, and some have been hanging about for a pint and going around. So it looks like there's maybe just a change in the season, and now there's some more ships coming in, and some of the workers are changed, and noticed a few Eastern European accents as well. Used to be more Italian kind of accents, but there's maybe some kind of change in some of the workers down at the dock. If you want to, feel free to put, if you've got your picture of your bar up, you can always pop it up for us. So, so how many folk would you get kind of regularly, would you think, in an evening? Do you have a busy night? Do you have a kind of music night or anything along that line?
Yeah, I have the occasional band show up Fridays and Saturday nights. Nothing too crazy. Every now and then, maybe a punk rock band or basic food, coffee, sandwiches. I'm trying to think, I don't know if you want to jump to this now, but I think that was part of, I had a kind of a deal with Raj where I basically slip him some money on the side, and I get him to bring me customers.
Right. Kind of some of the tourists in the town.
Right. So somebody stops in, asks Raj, do you know any good places to get a drink or something? And it's not always the best option, but because I give Raj that extra bump of cash, it's like, I know the perfect spot, and
The taxi drivers I know call that a bung. You give them a bung. They give you a few quid, a few dollars,
BUNG.
Yeah, that's what we call it over here. Okay, cool.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject real quick. Jeff, was that on the front of the bar? Did I see one of those flyers correctly? Did I see your GM there?
Yeah.
Or MC?
Pull it up. You got to pull it up now again. We need to have a look.
I just thought it would be a little.
I was like, I don't remember seeing that in the first picture.
A little cheeky thing. Oh, that's terrible.
That's a model shot right there.
One of the bands, punk rock band.
What is that? He's not punk. He's not punk rock. He's acoustic, acoustic guitar or something like that going on there.
Right. Friday nights.
Yeah, kind of, for the older generation, relaxed stuff. Cool. So why don't you give us a little flashback to an old friend of ours from a previous game, Frank, who'd been coming in for a little while, and give us a little flashback from beginning to get to know Frank, and we'll then discuss how you guys all kind of come together tonight.
So Frank stands out from the usual clientele. So first of all, a little bit about me is that I basically run this bar by myself. It was handed down to me by my father. I wasn't entirely thrilled to get it. I kind of had other plans, but keeping it in the family, and it eventually became my duty. So my heart's not fully into it, but it seems to pay the bills enough, and I don't have enough ambition to find something else. It's kind of like an easy job that was handed to me. So be it. I do it. And since it's kind of a bit of a rough neighborhood at times, a bit of a dive bar, I tend to also be the bartender / bouncer. So I try to keep up with physical fitness and training and stuff like that. And when things get out of hand, I have to step in and I'll toss them out on the street. But this one particular night, this guy came in and he was huge, like giant shoulders, sat down. He was kind of down in the dumps. I tend to, the typical bartender where I'm easy to talk to. So after a few, I didn't bother him at first, and he just sat there in a corner. But eventually I just, how you doing tonight? And it just started to flow out then. So he was kind of down on his luck. It turns out he was an ex-boxer. And ugly as sin, just his face looks like he lost more than he won. But just a giant kind of guy. And we just basically just hit it off as to, it became a good, cool hangout for him to just get away from the big crowds.
And perhaps because of his background and then your interest in obviously the fitness and the training and all that kind of stuff, the physical training and that you do, that there was almost like once you started talking, there was an instant rapport. Mm-hmm. And Frank was even like, hey, Sam, I'll watch the door for you tonight because there's a crowd coming in, And he would kind of be from time to time, because he knew that you were really stretched from running the bar and then dealing with the fools and idiots, that came in. A couple of times they stood at the door for you, and you saw the reaction as soon as maybe the young crowd came in for a carry on, and they immediately kind of quietened down because Frank was there looking, 6 foot, whatever, looking like a tower, And
of course, this is me personally. When I was in school, I was like the shortest kid in class. And I used to kind of make it a point to like find out who was the biggest guy around and kind of make friends with him. Yeah. Because like if I had to throw Frank out, that wouldn't happen. So I wanted to make sure that I got on Frank's good side. So we kind of hit things off that way.
There was one night that it wasn't particularly a busy night, but everybody had drifted off and Frank stayed on a little bit longer. And you've had this influence, this power working in your life. Do you want to tell us maybe a little bit about how you've experienced that, or what's happened? Maybe a couple of times. Maybe you've had to deal with a situation and some kind of mythos has risen, and how have you kind of identified that in Sam's life? Yeah.
So I guess maybe I should apologize because I haven't fully thought this out, but I think this is where I'm headed right now anyway. But correct me if you have better, or if I'm going in the wrong direction.
No, that's fine.
But I'm thinking, so a little bit outside of game, I tried to base my mythos off of the Robin Hood character. So with that said, I'm picturing that. I don't even remember when. I was a young kid, and now it's just kind of a vague memory. It didn't seem all that important at the time. I didn't get a whole lot of explanation about it, but it was like I heard it came from my grandfather, but I think it was my father that actually gave it to me. But they gave me a ring, and they just said it's an important piece of jewelry that's been in our family for years and years and years. And it just always passed down in the family. So I mean, it was cool. It was neat looking and everything. It was nothing too fancy about it. Just had a bunch of leaves going around it, like a silver ring. And then one day, like when I was young, I was out playing in the woods, and the typical, like you're playing cowboys and Indians or something like that. And I just sort of like pretended like I had a bow and arrow. And I went through the motion of that. And I think I might have actually been holding a stick or something. And I did that. And as soon as I did that motion, I could see that I was actually holding a bow, and I had an actual arrow, although it had like a blue mystical flame, almost smoke around it. So I didn't know what to think at first, but after a bit of experimentation, I found out. I mean, it basically was a bow, and I was really good at it. So I started, hunting small animals and target practice. And
Did you, the first time that happened, did you run home to mommy and say, Mommy, a bow appeared in my hand? She's like, sure. Something like that.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Go and play.
What do you want about?
So when you do this kind of move, and this you can see it with your eyes, but has anybody else been able to see it, or is it just you that's seen this in your younger life?
Yeah, for the most part, I pretty much have just kept it secret because I just thought everyone would think I was crazy.
So it's almost like an invisible friend, but it's an invisible weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But you see the results because when you shoot an animal or a bird or something like that, then the thing's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you bring any of that stuff home for Mum to cook or anything like that?
Probably. Squirrels do, maybe.
Okay, so you've had this. So this has been from quite early on in your life. What kind of age, maybe, would you say? 10 years old or something like that? Or
probably the way I was thinking, he probably got the ring early on,
mm-hmm.
but it didn't happen immediately. It was like I just kind of forgot about the ring. Was never really explained to me, and then just one day when I was older, just messing about in the woods, that's when I discovered this sort of. And I still don't even know. I'm to the point now where I think it's the ring that's doing this, but it might be more than the ring. I'm not entirely sure.
Interesting. So, tell us. So actually, looking at your themes, that's that mystical thing beginning to manifest in your life at quite an early age. So almost you were actually training yourself in the use of it from early on.
Mm-hmm.
What about your natural life and your Logos themes where, what's that other very normal, down to earth parts of your personality? What's the important things in your life as a character?
Mm-hmm. So it's the first and the obvious one is the bartender. So that's my routine for my life, basically.
Yeah.
I've got the bartender. I run the bar. I live above the bar, basically like a 2-bedroom apartment kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much like my life right there in that little building. And then as part of my character, then I have the typical bartender where I'm easy to talk to. So that's my personality. Like, just people just tend to open up. I just have to look at them and they want to share their life story with me. So sometimes it's nice, sometimes not so much.
Does it get you the girls, or is it just more the old timers that come into your bar? It's not really a place for the ladies to come particularly.
Yeah, I mean, when they do come, they're usually with their boyfriends anyway. So yeah. But yeah, Clancy down at the end of the bar, who always sits in the corner, I could tell you everything about his life. So, and then for when I'm not working, I do the training routines of, I go to the gym a lot. I work out. I actually have some parkour experience. So
do you think that element, the training and the parkour and all of that stuff, do you think it's almost like that's your kind of get out from the bar? The life, you're living above the bar, your life is a bar, and maybe you feel there's this some kind of something, some kind of purpose that your life has, and you just don't know what it is. And in one sense, maybe because this phenomenal power that you've experienced in your life for a long time, it's like, but what good is it? What do I do with it? What's the point of it? And maybe that training almost just at times been a little bit driven because you had to get that energy out somewhere. You needed to, there needs to be a purpose, there needs to be something going on. and maybe that's what's made you so good in your training. And so, like once everything's shut up, early on in the morning or early on the next day, you're out doing stuff, or you're down at the gym, etc. Would that work?
Yeah, no, perfect. Almost when you were talking, it kind of was like, I feel like maybe I have like a destiny almost. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have these abilities and special powers, and they don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But maybe if I keep diligent and I train, that some point in time I'll be useful and help people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, maybe one evening you were particularly frustrated. Everybody was out the bar and you were mopping up. There was a lot of, drink on the floor that night, and you had the glasses all lined up, and you just thought, and started shooting them all, and every glass shattered as this kind of mystical arrow hit them.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you just got rid of that frustration, you're like, oh hell, I'm going to need to buy some new glasses now.
Right.
Cool. It's funny though, because Frank had been coming in really consistently, and you'd even arranged. It was like the friendship was beginning to develop a little bit. You felt like almost like he was getting something out of this. A sense like maybe he didn't really have any friends. You knew that he didn't really tell you a lot about his story, but you knew he was down on his luck. But then just recently, he told you that he was involved in solving a case. And then he didn't really tell you any more about it. But you saw like his confidence level went from here to here. And he just seemed so happy in himself. And then he had arranged to meet you just 2 days ago at the gym. And that's the first time he's ever suggested it. And you're like, cool. I think maybe at the same time you're a bit intimidated because, he's huge and you're thinking this guy might just, destroy me.
Mm-hmm.
If you go for it in the ring. And he didn't show up. You went to the gym, he didn't show up. It was just really weird because Frank was like really beginning to come out of his shell. You kind of almost felt like he wanted to tell you something, but he didn't know. He wasn't good with words,
Mm-hmm.
when he was chatting with you. But, you know people like that. You know how to get the best out of everybody. That's part of your personality.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he didn't show up, and he had a couple of times as well spoken about his wife, who he hadn't seen for a long time. And again, you didn't pry, good bartender, you didn't pry. Folk want to tell you stuff, you let them tell you stuff. And he'd been talking about he wanted to see her again, but he never really went into any details. Now, I don't know, because I'd said something to you, I can't remember, to be honest, when we played that last game. Did Frank have a kid, or was it just a cat?
I seem to remember only having 1 or 2 cats.
Right. Okay. Right. We'll leave it at that. I might have been something else I'd seen. So anyway, he went on about the cats, and he went on about the missus. You don't know why they broke up, but he did tell you about an accident he'd had, but that's all you know, really. And so here we are tonight. Okay, so we're now in the present, and who comes in the door first, Vinzar or Raj?
If I may, I'd like to come in last.
Okay. He wants to make a dramatic entrance, Raj.
By this time, I'm wearing shoes.
Is it sandals or proper shoes?
No, they're just a pair of cheap sandals that I've bought from a shop that I passed on the way, because luckily I did at least have my wallet in my pocket when I went to sleep.
That was fortunate.
Yeah, tell me. I'm not doing that one again. Yeah, I remember. need to get a quarter off that woman.
So as you're heading to the bar, you notice that the weather's beginning to pick up a bit. It's a bit, you wished you'd maybe stopped off home and got your heavy jacket or something like that. And it just looks as if it's getting kind of stormy. Kind of gives you a wee flashback to that crazy dream that you had. You've had a lot of what was the word that you used? Synchronicities, but this dream seemed a bit different, and both at the same time kind of exciting, but then pretty ominous, And anyway, so you're approaching the bar and you go in. You guys want to? How do you know do you know each other reasonably then? So you normally, you said, Sam, that you give them jobs to do, customers to bring in, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
why don't you just begin a little chat, and we'll let Windsor appear as and when he wants to.
So did you have any thoughts, Windsor? Do we know each other already, or maybe this is our first time meeting?
Yeah, we know each other.
We know, okay.
Yeah, I think he comes to your bar and occasionally meets people, or has a pickup to do, a parcel to pick up and things like that.
Yeah, so for some reason, strangers just happen to leave their bags of lunch with me and just ask me to give them to Windsor when he comes in.
Yeah. I guess you're the kind of guy that wouldn't look.
Yeah, probably not. I know Windsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy really likes sandwiches.
Raj, how you doing tonight?
Oh, not so bad. The usual, please. That's an apple juice. I'm a Sikh. I don't drink.
Ah, okay.
No intoxicants.
That was a wee bit like a public announcement, that little bit there.
No, I'm just letting you know. He just says that whenever he goes into a bar. Like all Sikhs really do. They do. I don't drink. I'm Sikh.
After Raj walks in, as you're kind of the doors kind of closing, I'm kind of imagining, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the doors have got those kind of flexible hinges, where they just kind of wave back and forward, like
old saloon doors.
Like the old saloon doors. You can still get them. Mm-hmm. And just as Raj are coming in the door, this old bent over lady's got a trolley. She's obviously goes about the streets, She's got her trolley, and her trolley's full of, shopping trolley, or cart, I think you guys call it. Shopping cart's full of stuff, and she's got bags in it and stuff, and she's kind of following you in to the bar behind your back,
I'll hold the door for her.
Oh, thank you, son.
I'm a civilized man.
What a lovely man you are. That's a lovely hat you're wearing.
Thank you very much.
And she comes over to the bar. She kind of parks the trolley at the door, near the door, and comes over to the bar. Anyway, carry on, guys. It's a bit smelly,
I'll start getting some food together and bring it out to the woman, along with a small drink.
Even though she didn't ask for one.
Yep.
That's just the kind of guy you are.
Yep.
And she looks surprised. Genuinely, she looks surprised. She's like, "Is that for me? Is that for somebody else?"
No, that's for you. Yeah. Enjoy.
She's absolutely delighted, and she takes your hand in her two hands, and she's kind of grips it tightly, and her fingernails are absolutely filthy, and they're just like, full of stuff. And she says, "Oh, bless you," and she takes your hand, she pulls your palm open, and she starts to look at your palm, and she starts to kind of go on your lifeline and all that kind of thing. It's slightly creepy, to be honest, I mean, but you can tell this, she's genuinely just overwhelmed with because she was about to try and pull together her change to get a little drink off you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of doing her finger around your palm, like round and round the garden. And she says, like elves and fairies in a ring, enchanting all that you put in. Watch for the horned one, young Robin. The people need your help and no one to protect them. Thank you, son, so much. I'll have my dinner. It's so good. And she sits down and she gets into it. Just a strange feeling comes over you. You don't know if you're creeped out or if it's, you don't know if it's this kind of mystical feeling or you're just actually totally creeped out, you know. And you kind of want to wash your hands now, you know.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
And away she goes. She's having her dinner and loving it and kind of making a lot of noise, eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into it.
Did you see that, Raj?
What was all that about?
I don't know. She said something about helping the people and watched out for the horned one. I'm not sure if I heard her right.
You know, it's kind of funny she should say that because I had this kind of dream last night. It's really weird. Just this incredibly strong feeling that something very bad is going to happen.
I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Around that time, Vince will jump in there. Outside, he sees the bar from like around the corner, and I do my shadow thing again, where I'm slipping through the shadow, and I make my way into the bar, seemingly undetected. And as you guys are wrapping up that portion of your conversation, Vinzer's sitting in the chair right next to Raj, and he goes, kind of leans over real quick, grabs Raj's cup, and slides it in front of him real quick. And he's like, "Oh, there you guys are. I've been waiting for you." And he goes to takes a sip of Raj's drink, and then he like kind of apple juice. He's like, "Raj, we got to work on your social drinking. Sam, please." Can a man get a tequila and lemonade, please? And please, don't forget the straw.
Absolutely.
So, what are we talking about now?
Where did you come from? You're always sneaking up on me like that.
I've been here the whole time, Sam. Just got to open your eyes.
The door opens again, and a middle-aged lady comes in. She's blonde, she looks like she's a little bit stressed. She's not kind of dressed. She's dressed reasonably nicely, not posh, but she's just kind of dressed a little bit more, you know, blue-collar district, but not really down towards the docks. And she's holding something in her hand, and she kind of looks about. She looks a mix of nervous and stressed and worried. You can just see it on her face, and she's been quite a pretty woman, but maybe just had a stressful time in her life. You know, maybe not been dealt the best deck of cards, as they say. And she kind of sees you at the bar, Sam, and she kind of comes over and she says, are you Sam?
Yes, ma'am.
And you see straight away, you realise what she's holding in her hand is a little folded cardboard book of matches, you know, and it's one of your old things that you've had lying about. You've probably got about 10,000 of them, and you've still got them from like 5 years ago, you know.
Ever since they put the ban on smoking, it's
it's still, you know, you still give them away. Guys take them anyway because you know a lot of the guys that come in smoke, so they quite often go home with a book of matches just to have them, you know. And she says, I I'm really worried. I'm really worried. You don't know me, but I'm Frank's wife, and I think he came here because he left this book of matches at the house when he came to see me the other day. He came to see me 2 days ago, and he said he was going to make sure I was all right and I was protected, and but I thought he went missing. Frank went missing. There was a big accident, over a year ago, nearly 2 years ago now. There was a big accident, and I thought he died. And then he came back just a few weeks ago, and I nearly died. And then she starts to tear up, and she's kind of breaking down. And so she's really telling you that Frank had disappeared out of life. She thought he'd been killed in an accident, but he never came back again. But she goes on to tell you that every now and then she would find an envelope through the door with money, because times are hard, and she didn't know who it was. And then she began to believe that it was Frank. Frank was still alive, and then just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he appeared, and she says, I nearly had a heart attack, but I was so excited, and it looks like he's been through a rough time. And I know, has he been here? Has he been coming here? He said he was going to come and see me, and he's missing. And the way he was talking was there was some kind of trouble he was in. He was going to make sure that I was safe and our cats were safe. And is he around? Is he here? Does he stay? Is he staying here?
I hand her a napkin, a clean one, and so maybe she can wipe her eyes if she needs to. Just a glass of water until she asks me for something out of there. And I'll say, yeah, I actually know Frank. He's kind of a regular here. I'm surprised. Matter of fact, I was supposed to meet him, and he never showed up. I was wondering what happened.
She immediately puts her hand to her mouth and starts to tremble. I feel it in my gut. Something's happened to him. I know something's happened to him. I didn't understand what he was talking about, and he said, he would keep any danger away, and from at all costs, he said he'd make sure that nothing would happen. I don't know. I think he's got involved in something. Did he say anything to you?
No, not really. I'm surprised to hear all this. I mean, who would mess with Frank? That's what I want to know.
He's been involved with some shady guys in his time. He got involved with, gambling and things like that. And we went through a lot of hard times, but I just hope he's not got into any trouble with any gangsters.
Hmm.
Do you know where he lives? Do you know where he stays?
I don't know if I know specifically. I mean, I know he's not too far away. I think he tends to walk here, gets a cab occasionally, but it's not that far, I don't think. I'm just not sure I know his specific address.
Mm. Just at that, you realise that there's somebody else's as approached, because you're just being engaged with chatting to the lady. We'll call her Alison, and you realise the old trolley lady standing right behind her, because you actually almost smelled her before you saw her, and she's like, oh, she puts her hands around Alison's shoulders. Oh dear, don't worry. He's in a difficult situation. Sam can help. And she said, could I get another whiskey?
I'll pour her a small shot.
Yeah, she's loving this. She goes back to her seat, and there's a little bit of bread, and she's wiping the plate with the bread and getting every bit of gravy off of that plate, you know.
Sam, she got food? Nothing for us? Really?
We'll figure it out.
Starving, man.
So Alison doesn't know what to do. She's you can tell she's absolutely convinced that not by anything that she maybe knows, but she just feels something in here, that there's something very, very wrong. And she says, if you hear from Frank, can I give you my number? Can you let me know? And she writes down her number and her address. And she says, I suppose I better go. And she kind of looks back at the lady. And you can see her thinking, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? So she then goes and sits down to the lady and starts talking. She's just out of earshot, starts talking to the lady, and the lady pulls out her hand and starts looking at her palm and drawing wee circles in her palm and all that. And you can see that Alison looks like she's trying to hold her breath a little bit, but they seem to be having a conversation, you know. Just at that, the doors swing open again, and 4 guys walk in. As soon as these guys walk in, the atmosphere changes like that. You know, these guys mean business, and not the kind of banking kind of, you know, that kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy,
look in their eye.
Yeah, the guy in the middle you see sitting there, he says something to a couple of other guys, and the 2 guys either side of him approach, and another bloke stays with him. And he says to you at the bar, he says, is the owner here? Are you the owner of the bar?
Yes. Can I help?
Well, we need to tell you, and he kind of just glances over his shoulder to make sure. Are you guys nearby, Biz and Raj?
Yeah, well, I assume that we're at the
Right,
bar.
yeah.
That seems fine, right?
Yeah, they kind of look like body language are kind of making room, you know, almost making you guys stand back a few inches, you know, just the way that they're standing, the way they're positioning themselves. So you need to know that you've been getting some good business from the docks, yes, recently?
Well, I don't know if I would say good, but beginning some business.
Yeah, we have many new. You can tell I was going to try and do it, but I'm not even going to try the accent. So there's an Eastern European accent, and he's saying, yes, we have many new crews coming in now on the ships, and there's some changes in this area, and so we're the new management in this area. And Sam, you see, but you don't think Binzer sees it. One of the other guys kind of goes round to kind of stand maybe a couple of feet away from where Binzer is, just kind of being present, if you like. And so we will look after you, and you need to know that we will protect and we'll bring you lots of good business. So we'll need to discuss a percentage.
I glanced to see how far away Betty is. She's the baseball bat I keep underneath the bar.
Yeah, it's pretty close, I would say. Yeah.
And I'll be polite and I'll just say, well, thank you, sir, for the offer, but I think we're good here. Can I get you anything? On the house.
On the house, yes. We take, and they order a drink, and the other guy comes up, the guy that's kind of seated in that picture, and he comes over, and he's obviously the boss of this crew, you know. He's standing a little bit back and letting these guys do all the talking. And so they take their drinks. So you think, oh, maybe we're okay here, you know. And after they have the drink, they say, so yes, we need to, perhaps we find a room and discuss our business terms with Serge Vidalis here, our boss. He's the new boss of the docks.
Binzer grabs the last of his tequila lemonade, and through the straw sucks up every last bit of it, making that extremely loud slurping sound that you make with a straw. Purposely obnoxious to kind of break the tension between the two of them.
Yeah.
And he just kind of leans over and he's like, hey, pretty sure he said he's not interested. Maybe move along.
At that point, Vincer, you didn't realise there was a guy standing behind you, but just as you maybe move and glance back, you realise there's a shadow behind you, and he gets both of your arms behind your back, you know, grabs both your arms like in a kind of vice move, and your arms are like pinned right now at this moment. And the other guys don't seem to be taking much notice of Raj. They obviously clocked you as a potential certain kind of character, you know. And then the two guys lean closer to Sam and say, we need to discuss terms and perhaps another drink.
I'm just looking around the bar, kind of examining unconnected objects for some reason. With a quizzical look on my face.
Would you like to make a roll? Are you looking for patterns and things like that? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm thinking of trying something a bit more proactive, but I'm waiting to see how things pan out before I do anything.
So you're kind of just looking very innocent and kind of glancing about and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
at the same time, analysing the layout of the place.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, you're wearing sandals, so you're not any threat, you know.
That's right. Or am I? I have a beard and a turban. Perhaps I'm the most threatening man in here.
What's in that beard?
You see,
do you know, I actually did think that after the character design thing, that I should have gone for a character who just has like some sort of dimensional portal in his beard, like I do, so that he can just pull things out of it when he needs them. Like it's a sort of beard of holding. Oh, look! Like
yes,
there's a sword.
Very good. I like it.
Hey, as a Sikh, I do carry a sword.
Ooh.
Oh, that's new.
I've got a knife.
Okay. So yeah, this guy Vinzer has actually got you in quite a grip, you know, and because you didn't know, not that you can't do anything, but you know that would affect your move. And so, in terms of a game term, I would give you a status right now.
Okay.
And what that means is you're in a vice-like grip 3. So that means if you try a move, certainly a physical, because this is a physical thing, obviously. If you try a physical move, then it's a -3 to a move. Okay. So at any status, whether it's a positive status, you know, like somebody's helping you or something else is happening, or it's a negative one, just affects the dice roll effectively. So you're in a vice-like grip 3 right now. It doesn't mean that necessarily affects your powers, though, because if your powers aren't activated physically, then it doesn't relate to that.
I was gonna say, yeah, like with the guy having me in the grip, and I make eye contact with Sam. Like when I go to move, like my arm a bit, I I wince just from just the pressure he's applying, knowing that there's nothing that physically right here I can do. In this room, like Sam, he's got me at this point.
Yeah, you see Sam's eyes going, and you can see even in the look in Sam's eye is kind of acknowledging, he knows where you're at. Sam, do you want to do anything?
I'll look to Serge, and I'll look to see Vinzer's situation, and I'll just say to Serge, there's no need for that. We can go talk if you need to.
That is a very, very wise choice. Where shall we talk? And around this time, by the way, at the same time, you've noticed out the corner of your eye that the old lady's kind of taken Alison out, and she's at the shopping trolley and showing her some the cart, and showing her some of her bags. But they're on her way out. But it's almost as if you kind of get the feeling that the old lady realizes something's happening and she's taking her away.
Mm-hmm.
So they're safe. You don't need to worry about them.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, Sam, show us the way.
I'll turn to Raj and say, Raj, do you mind just watching the bar for a minute?
Not at all. I'll finish my drink and put the glass back on the thing, and I'll just stand up and walk around the back of the bar.
And then I'll just make my way. I'm trying to think. Probably, I'll try to keep them in the main room bar, but I'll just take them to the back corner where we're sort of.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you may have something like, say, a room that guys play poker or regular or something like that. But yeah, you're keeping it in the open. So
from a tactical perspective, could you just tell us where all four of these blokes are at the moment?
Okay, so I'll say for Windsor that because Sam's cooperating, he's eased his grip off. He's still got a hold of maybe your wrists, so you're down to a kind of 1 status instead of a 3. You're not totally locked in, but he's obviously just hedging his bets just in case you make a move. So all of them are really going to follow Sam, and the guy that's got Windsor will basically almost maneuver you, Chris, along with him, just because he's not going to now let you go, because then you've got an opportunity. So he's bringing you over to wherever Sam's taking you, to the corner of the bar. So they're the kind of head honcho, Serge, is kind of last in the queue, if you like, So the 2 guys, Sam, the 2 guys, then the guy that's got Windsor, and then Serge behind him.
As he's like ushering me along and kind of pushing me around and everything, I feel like the twist on my arm to him, like, oh, hey, buy me a drink first.
I'm going to get my phone out, and I'm going to start flipping through photographs on the phone.
Okay. So Sam, you get to the corner. And there's the table at the corner, and it's kind of the quiet corner of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just take a seat, or what you up to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll try to situate myself with my back toward the wall, and let him sit across from me.
Okay, and it's the 2 guys sit kind of either side of you, almost. Maybe not right next to you, but you kind of like one side and the other side. If you're in the corner, maybe that. If you're in the corner, then one there and one there. Serge is going to come and sit opposite. And the guy that's got Windsor just stands with him, just a couple of paces back. And Serge speaks up finally, and he says, "Barman, vodka."
I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to touch intoxicating liquors. I'm a Sikh.
He looks confused, and he looks at you, Sam, and he's like, what kind of barman is this guy?
I'm not a barman, I'm a taxi driver.
Yeah, it looks like you need protection, man.
Ninja's like, I mean, I'd help you out, but I mean, you know.
So Serge says straight away, he says, we bring you much business, and you'll have many more people coming now through your door, and we want 25% of the new business.
25.
You make your money, we are fair. You make your money, and we want 25 of your profit.
I mean, we can come to a deal, but 25, you're cutting in a little bit too much there, aren't you, sir?
That is our normal fee. We will bring many more people.
And I sort of nonchalantly look down at my character sheet to see what tags I can do.
You know, as you look under the table and you see your themes there. So is Raj going to attempt to bring any kind of refreshments at all?
I'm going to bring them 4 glasses of apple juice.
I was wondering. Do you put it like in a shot glass or something like that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'll put it in
Yeah.
There's a shot glass full of apple juice.
okay, cool.
And some nuts.
Very good.
And I've got that in one hand and a tray, and I put that down. And my other hand, I've got my phone, and I'm looking at what seems to be a picture of the city's municipal sewage works.
Okay, I know where you're going with that. Okay. So yeah, you come with the tray, but just want to give you some time to respond. Sam, is there anything, you know, you're looking at your themes and that? Is there anything you would like to do?
Not really. I'm not ready to go to blows with them at all yet.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous, so I'm right on the edge. But other than like charming, maybe I could try to turn the charm on and keep it lighthearted and joke with them, and you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 25. It sounds a little bit too high. Would you be willing to do 15? I mean, I would appreciate the business. Everybody needs more business.
That is, we could say 20. We could say, well, we're very fair. We only ask for 20% of your profits, but we will know your profits. We see your prices. Your prices are pretty good.
How are they dressed? Are they dressed nicely or?
Yeah, pretty tidily. They've got money behind them.
Okay.
You know? You get the feeling that Serge is the boss, but he's not. He's not the boss.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He's the boss of this crew.
Yeah.
It's more like a made man. Is that what they do?
He's part of the family. You know.
Well, I'll say then, well, why don't we then split it? So you're at 20, I'm at 15. Why don't we make it 17 and a half?
We'll give you a trial run for 18%. And if you see the business increase, we say 20%. You're happy, we are happy. And we protect you now. You're protected now. The people that used to be about here are no longer here. There's a change. There's a change.
All right, that sounds fair to me. The trial period sounds reasonable.
Vinzer's a little kind of like perturbed by you making this deal with him, and I'm just kind of like grunting under like the arm lock a little bit and just being like come on, Sam, you know that's bullshit.
By then the trays arrived and the nuts, and one of the guys is getting stuck into the peanuts straight away, and then they're looking at the glass and holding it up, and they're assuming it's some, you know, some American drink, you know. Maybe it's a flavored vodka or something like that. And they start knocking back their vodka. We drink to this. And then one of the guys sprays it out all over the table. And he said, apple juice. They give us apple juice.
I'm going to hand the man who sprayed it out a cloth and point to the table.
That guy's quite a broad, bulky-looking guy with a bald
I
head.
don't care. I'm a Sikh. I fear no man.
He stands up.
I've got God on my side.
He stands up and he's like about another 5-6 inches taller than you, maybe. And he's like, "You clean it up, you fool. Get us vodka."
Nope. Can't do that. I'm not allowed to touch vodka. I'm a Sikh.
He turns around and looks at Serge, and Serge just nods like that, and he shoves you out the way, and he starts to march up to the bar to go and get the bottle of vodka.
Oh, I'm gonna just examine my phone and just zoom in on a great big pool of green slime.
You just tell me if you want to roll, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so the guy comes back with a bottle of vodka, and he's like, and Serge kind of looks in control, completely in control, but not pleased at all. He says that this is not the way to do business. And he says, vodka all round. And he makes sure you've got a glass as well, Sam. And he gets the guy that goes and gets the bottles filled up, all the shot glasses with vodka, and they knock one back. Do you have a drink yourself?
I'll leave mine on the table.
It is best to cooperate, Mr. Sam. We will work better together.
Okay, we'll see where this goes.
Very good. You shall see us soon. And the guy doesn't clean the table up, by the way. He just is just left. So they all stand up, and the guy just eases his grip and lets you go, and the four of them walk out the bar.
Go ahead, Vince. Lay into me. I know.
Sam, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. How are you gonna let that scum walk in here?
That hurts even more.
How are you gonna let that scum walk in here and tell you how to run the bar? Make you.
I'm going to put my phone away with a disappointed look on my face.
You could always still do it, you know, once they're out of there.
I think it might exacerbate the situation at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I just let the money get to me. 80%. If I can get 80% of new business coming in, that's really not that bad of a deal.
The thought kind of hits you that maybe you won't actually get quite as much new business as they are suggesting, because you know there are already some new guys coming in the docks,
mm-hmm.
and there's only so many ships that come in at any one time anyway. So it's probably, you kind of just begin to get a sinking feeling, realising this isn't really about new business. This is just about taking profit off of the business you're already getting.
Dang it, I didn't think that far ahead.
You kind of just, you know, obviously in the moment, the tension is there, but now you're really beginning to process and you're thinking, this is just, you know, protection money.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny umbrellas. That's what we need. We need tiny umbrellas for your drinks, and these profits better not cut into that. It's a business expense.
So, what do you want to just you just let off a bit of steam and calm down and relax? Yeah.
And I'm already starting to plan, like, what am I going to do when they come back?
Yeah. So, there's a newspaper sitting on the table. You're kind of a little bit deflated and a little bit depressed and thinking, yeah, did I let these guys walk over me there? Is Windsor right, or did I play it safe and we can deal with them, you know, when the situation suits you better, you know? Perhaps Sam's a bit more of a strategist, Windsor. Maybe you've been. I'm kind of. I don't know. Is Sam a little bit older than Windsor? What age are you guys?
Windsor's 33.
Right. How do you imagine Sam?
I was thinking 40, 42.
So you've kind of got that kind of slightly older guy, younger guy thing going on. Windsor's got the kind of reaction thing, you know.
A little more impulsive. Yeah.
These guys insulted us, you know, kind of thing. And maybe Sam's playing the long game. Yeah, so have you got that picture of the newspaper article? Could you pop it up for me if you have? I'm getting Jeff to do my work for me tonight because I had issues with the pictures. You can have somebody fancy having a little read through that?
He bit my face off. Young man in hospital violence on campus by Jen Waters. A young man has been left in hospital after a deranged attack by another student. Stephen Kirkby is now in City Hospital and is waiting for some extensive surgery on the right side of his face after the attack. We can now identify David Brooks as the attacker who battered on the door to Stephen's accommodation at the college and launched himself at shocked Mr. Kirkby. Until now, David Brooks was only known as a hard-working chemistry student who was also a member of the campus philosophy club. All the other students are shocked at this violent and unexpected outburst, and Brooks is worryingly missing and to be treated as dangerous. A special task force is now in place investigating this violent crime.
The important page 2.
The largest rabbit in the city. Sorry. What is wrong with our colleagues? Colleges. What is wrong with our... I'll start again. What is wrong with our colleges? After the disturbing attack on a hard-working student, City News will be bringing you a special report on life inside our colleges and schools. Is crime and drug use on the increase? In other news, the largest rabbit in the city. Bob Bosky and his giant rabbit Biscuit, who broke city records for giant furry faces friends. The giant furry faces friends?
It's a rubbish newspaper.
Biscuit won the award for rabbit show jumping last weekend. Bob said Biscuit did furry good. Until recently, there have been reports of giant animals around the city's old abandoned airport. City officials have written off the stories as crackpots and have informed the news there are plans to demolish the old building for future development. One regeneration official who refuses to be named said he was chased off the property by a bunch of wild animals. Do you have a story? Contact the news desk on 0800 33 5599. That's 0800 33 5599.
Very good. I'm very impressed. That was very radio voice.
Yep.
I could have done radio. I would have, if I had worked on the radio, I would have done a lot of work for charity on the side. Charity.
Very good. So there may be a story there of interest. It could be
Yeah, that rabbit was huge. Did you see?
One of the
But
things,
it was very soft as well.
one of the things about this mythic powers is it's almost like the stories, the situations, the emergencies and all that seem to come your way. You've found it again and again, Raj, in the taxi. It's like somebody going through something and comes into the taxi and you start talking to them and they remember stuff. And actually sometimes one lady jumped into the cab one time and it was like, I've left my keys. I had to bring the spare, but I had all my other work keys there. And you have this picture of the keys sitting on under a desk, and you end up getting an extra fare because you take her back again and she finds the keys. And so this strange thing that's happened so far in smaller ways, perhaps. Sam, for you, people turn up at your bar and they're needing help, and just because of the kind of guy you are, you like the old cart lady, you know. She didn't. I nearly called her a cat lady, but she didn't have any cats. But you know what I mean. You know, people come, turn up, and just the kind of guy you are, you just help them out. And Windsor, you seem to have the ability within your work life to find these jobs. They seem to come your way at a pace that is kind of uncanny, you know. So there may be something of interest there, or perhaps not. On the corner, and your TV screen in the corner of the bar, we interrupt this broadcast. A riot of some kind appears to have broken out at City College. It seems to perhaps be two rival gangs. We've got Jimmy Steele down there right now. Jimmy, can you tell us what's going on? He says, and he's holding his ear, you know, waiting on the kind of echoing of the satellite transmission. And he's going, it seems to be two rival gangs, Vanessa, and, oh no, hold on. There is a gang of youths wearing sunglasses. This is nighttime. I don't know why they're wearing sunglasses. They are attacking students and passers-by. We'll have more from the Eye in the Sky shortly. We'll be back as soon as there's more news. Over to you, Vivian. And then it kind of cuts back to the programme.
Violent blind militants. Whatever next.
And I'm looking at our time, so perhaps we just pause there. Does that sound like a good place to pause?
Yeah, I think so.
A lot going on.
And so come back next week for the next enthralling episode of City of Mist. Without a name yet, we shall have the name for next week.
Yeah.
So I'm getting one of those synchronicity things again.
Oh, it could be. It could be. So we can kind of do the downtime right now. So they call this a move. So if, for example, you got into a fight, you know, you can use the downtime to kind of process some of that. If you've used moves and powers, if you've tagged a weakness, you can actually level up in downtimes in terms of your powers. You know, you can increase powers or add other tags. So just for a couple of minutes, really, if you've got the time, just to process some of the stuff that you've just experienced tonight.
Well, now on one side, on the power tags, on one side of the tag, let's just go for compelling personality. On one side, there's a checkbox, and on the other side, there's a thing that says burn. Could you explain what they mean?
Okay. So let me get a sheet so I can look at it. Or unless, Jeff, you want to.
Well, so I'm wondering, are you using the one that I made up or the official one?
I'm using, this is the official one. I think it's got 2017 Son of Oak Game Studio Amit Moshe.
Okay. The left-hand column is basically when you're creating your characters, there's the official, there's questions you can, like they pose questions like, what does your character like about such and such? And each of those questions are given a letter. So when you are creating your character, you can just write down the letter to remind yourself what the tag is referring to.
The question.
Right. Okay.
That's to do with the question, yeah.
Cool.
But you're talking about the little boxes here?
No, if I can actually just bring it up and I'll show you.
Sure.
Of course, it's been so long since I've actually GM'd on...
So there's a share down at the bottom bar, if you just pop your mouse down.
Right. So, oh, look, we're over on the other monitor now. This is very confusing. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, yep, I can see that.
So, so this is where I would put in the
Okay, yes.
the letter.
To be honest, you don't need that at all. You know.
So what about this burn thing here?
So that is when you actually burn a power or ability off. So you can. Does that give you? I'm now trying to remember now. Does that give you a? It's in the moves actually. Let me just check the moves. It says. So if you use the move change the game, which is literally a game changer, you know, in a situation, you know, say for example the guys came into the bar and you were going to do something mystical while the other guys were getting a bit hemmed in, then you could do something like hit them with all you've got, like an attack, all out attack, but you could also do a change the game and do something a little bit more creative. So if you rolled on that, it says you can create a story tag, so you can create a brand new situation in the scenario, or you can burn a power tag or a story tag. So that really means that if it was a story tag that was a negative story tag, so in the case of Windsor, who was, when he was still pinned back, you know, pinned 3, right? That's quite a tight situation. You could change that so that with change the game, that you actually burn that story tag of, you know. Now in your powers, you might need to help me here, Jeff.
Yeah, I got it actually in front of me. So
excellent, go ahead.
Burning tags. A burnt tag cannot be invoked. Burnt tags can be recovered with the montage, which is like what we're doing right now, the downtime scene.
Yeah.
You burning for a hit. You can voluntarily burn a tag when you make a move. You gain a power of 3, and instead of rolling the dice, treat the roll as if you rolled a 7, which then total unmodified score of 10. No other tags can be invoked at this roll, but status is applied normally.
So in your story, you know, give me one of your mythos powers, and we'll use that as an example.
Teleport.
Okay, so in your mythos powers, you might say you want to go, it's almost like you're going to max out on this power, right? Or even a natural ability. You're going to max out on it. You're now, we'll just use the situation we've been in. So here's the guys, they've kind of got them stuck in the corner, and you're going to teleport your whole team, not just yourself, right? So you're going to burn that tag to give you an automatic success. So it counts as when it says counts as a 7, what that means is a 7 is a basic pass, but it's a power of 3. So that means that if you're using 3, power of 3 is the amount of tags you use, right? So if you tagged 3 separate powers, you would get the power of 3, right? So you're getting a normal pass plus a power of 3, so it's basically a pass of a 10. But the reason this power of 3 is important is you can now you can effectively give the enemy a status, because you can say the status could be disappeared into thin air 3, because it's a power of 3. So any of your the actual level of your power that you use, or the amount of tags that you've tagged, basically can be used against the enemy or for you, you know.
So like if you were getting into a fist fight and you punch somebody, you could burn a tag for the automatic success plus 3.
Yeah.
Then the NPC could be like wounded 3.
Yeah.
For their status.
I see.
Gotcha.
And on the flip side, so again, the tags and all that, it does sound a wee bit confusing sometimes, but basically it can be a positive or a negative thing. If you're dealing it against an enemy, it's obviously a negative thing for them. But in terms of your teleport power, you can now be hidden 3. So if these guys try to search for you, they've got a -3 at any efforts, you know. So basically, you know, you've won.
Okay.
It means that you can't use it for the rest of the session. Well, actually, it means you can't use it until you have a downtime like now, where you're kind of regrouping and the guys, you're all really sitting having a drink, you're having your apple juice now, and as we're talking about this stuff, basically it's a kind of almost like a regroup and pull yourself together kind of processing session.
Okay, I get you. Cool. I was just looking at the montage. Give attention to one of your logos or extra themes. Tell everyone at the table how you do it to mark attention. So that's a way to like level up your character if you want. Work the case. Tell everyone at the table how you do it. You gain 3 clues with the method and a source based on your description. Explore your mythos. Tell everyone at the table which mystery you explore, how you do it. You gain 1 clue with a method and a source based on your description. Mark attention and that mystery's theme. Prepare for your next activity. Tell everyone at the table how you prepare and choose one. Recover all your burnt power tags or gain 3 juice with a method based on your description. You can choose from the effect improvements under change the game. And then the last one is recover from your last activity. For each ongoing status still affecting you, the MC will tell you if and how it can be reduced during your downtime, and by how many tiers. Alternatively, the MC can allow you to reduce any or some of the statuses by 1 tier for each relevant tag you have.
So, I mean, there's actually a fair bit you can do to. So, is that saying then the way that's put together? Is that then saying that effectively, if you explain in your downtime or your montage, if you explain how you did that or how you got the clue, then you get an attention. So that's basically like an XP.
Mm-hmm. That's how I understand it.
So what that's really saying then, guys, is that I mean, in one sense, there's maybe not a lot. You could still do it just now, but there's not a lot of kind of events other than maybe the guys in that pressured situation. So in this case, Sam could explain to Windsor why he made the choices that he did. And in doing that, you could actually get an attention on that, maybe your personality. Would that be, do you think, Jeff?
Mm-hmm. Or even the bartender, since it's kind of like just related to the work.
Sure.
Or
Yep, that would make sense. Yep. So it's like, if we compare it again, because we've played that recently with Tales from the Loop, where you kind of get a point if you help your friend, or you get a point if you've used a particular thing or you've participated. It's a kind of similar process. But in this case, in this game, it's kind of like it gives you a little opportunity to narrate why you did the things you did, or if you found a clue, how you found that clue if we didn't get that earlier on in the game. Would that be right, Jeff, do you think?
I think so. And then at the same time, like I was even thinking the second one where it says work the case, tell everyone at the table how you do it and gain 3 clues with a method and a source based on your description. I'm wondering, I don't know, I'm wondering like if we would normally use the downtime now to like brainstorm, okay, like we just had these 4 guys come in.
Yeah.
They basically just shook me down.
Yep.
So like, could we use this time to say, work the case? So what can we do to find more out about these guys? Like, where did they come from? Who are they working for? I mean, we have Serge's name, but
yep,
he's just a messenger probably. I'm not sure if we have enough to go on for that though.
Mm-hmm. Well, what other parts of the story that do you think are stronger then that you could?
I mean, we have the issue with Frank, with his wife coming in and saying that he's missing. But we don't really have a lot of clues to where to even start looking. So that one's tricky. And of course, the newspaper article with the blind riots now, the blind youth.
The rights of the blind. So what you can do, remember that I don't necessarily, so we can be a bit more free about, unlike Call of Cthulhu where you really can't do something unless you've got all the clues. If you've got a little bit of a clue, you can just do a move. Okay? So if you have a sneaky suspicion, you can use the skill investigate.
Okay.
And what you would do is you would look at your tags. Who are the people that you can find out what's going on in the city? Who are the contacts you have? You know, do you have police contacts? Do you have, you know, contacts through your work, through just meeting people in the cab? Does Sam have contacts through being at the bar? Does Windsor have contacts in the underworld that can find out a little bit and give them a bit more information? And so basically what that means is when you do the investigate, it is effectively a dice roll,
Right.
described creatively, and you win clues.
I see.
And the kind of narrative element is you looking at your character and saying, who does my guy know? How could I get some more information? Even though there may be it might look like there's no information present, but you could, hey, hold on a minute, I've got some underworld contacts. I can find out what's going on with these guys. Or hold on a minute, I'm going to get the word on the street. I don't know, you know, I know some of you have some of these kind of skills or tags. I'm going to use the word on the street to find out if anybody's heard about Frank, you know, and that's how we can kick off the next game. But I mean, I think this is the ideal time to kind of discuss almost like, what's our next move? You know, how do we want to pursue that?
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that limits us? Like, could we all do an investigate at this point?
I think the way I understand it is, yes, you can, as long as it's not the same investigate. So as long as you're not investigating, you can investigate the same situation, but not in the same way.
Right, okay.
Because that's kind of naff, you know? So if all three of you had a police contact, you're not all going to say, I'm going to go to my police contact and no, you're going to investigate in a different way, but you can still investigate.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you know, I'd like to just use some of my more sort of street level contacts.
Sure.
To just, what was the name of the gangster chap?
The name that you heard was Serge Vidalis.
Yeah, I'd like to just ask around here and there, you know, on newsstands and street corners, and you know, in the taxi garage itself, because it's surprising what you learn there. I'll ask Louis and the Reverend Jim and all the other people who work there, and I'll see if any of them have ever heard of this guy.
Okay, so what you would do is you would do an investigate move, and you can tag any tags that you want to, that you can convince me is meaningful in this kind of chat.
Well, certainly contacts. And I think, well, possibly my police contact as well. Although that would be my last point of call.
Yep.
Because if I start asking him about anything, he's going to want to know why I want to know about this guy.
So in one sense, it could maybe be a bit risky asking a police guy. Do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe because that's probably going to attract a bit more attention. Though I'm just going to ask my standard contacts, I think.
And is there any other skills that relate to kind of finding out stuff?
Possibly every back alley, because you know, I'll do this while I'm working. You know, and we could frame it. We could frame it as your story, because this is, you know, again, in the game, the actual system wise, it's really just backing up. Well, I think I'm also really, if you would allow me to, I think possibly I could tie in my mythos ability of synchronicity.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'd just be spending the night driving the cab and then taking a fare to somewhere. And when I get to that somewhere, maybe sitting around waiting for another fare. And while I'm sitting around waiting for another fare, I might get talking to someone. and just ask them if they've heard about this. So really, I'm using myself and my cab as a divinatory tool to just see where the night takes me.
Yep.
And see if I, in addition to my contacts, see if I just come into contact with someone who just happens to know the answer to my question.
That makes perfect sense. So the synchronicity with it, so you're having a conversation at the taxi rank, you're talking to customers, maybe one of your customers had an Eastern European accent, and you're chatting, and all of that stuff comes together. So give me so that's actually 3, is that 3 tags then?
Yep. So
roll 2d6 plus, now give me, before I let you do that, what's your weaknesses in those themes?
The weakness for the taxi driver one is that I work nights.
Okay,
so, I would take that to mean that probably, a great many of the people who do know about stuff like this are going to be tucked up in bed.
No, I wouldn't tag that for that, because I think that would actually help the fact that you're out at night. So,
criminals
what about your other themes?
Well, with the synchronicity one, I'm not sure it's a huge problem with the synchronicity one because of the way it works, but it's no conscious control. But I'm not attempting to consciously.
Okay, right. Well, I'll not tag any of your weaknesses. I'll let you just roll for the 3 plus 3.
Okay.
2d6.
So that's 2d. Oh, that's a 6. And that's a 6.
Wow.
I wish I had a little camera here that I could bring in.
Well, that's what you call exploding, right? So
I got two elder signs in a row.
Right.
So you call it Cthulhu dice.
Okay, so and the question. Okay, so this is how it works. In Investigate, Mike, what happens is if you roll a 7 to 9, you can choose one, and if you roll more than that, you get, is it 3? You basically get an Investigate, you get to kind of ask me a question if you want to frame it like that, or you basically get clues. Now, it doesn't actually say even a 12.
If your move is dynamite, plus 12 and extraordinary hit, granting special benefits.
Does it say how many clues with a 10 to 12 there? Because I think I've got a different sheet here, an older sheet maybe.
My investigation sheet is the same as yours because it only lists as 7 through 9.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually right. I think that's missing something there. I'm sure.
It's just mainly that it falls under being what's considered dynamite when you roll a 12.
Right.
You carry on. I can do a quick search.
Okay. So, what's your kind of initial? You're chatting, Mick, with all the people that you've been speaking to, in a sense of, I just happened to get this person in the car, and they're giving you some information. What is what's the kind of main question that you want to answer?
I'd like to know who he works for.
Serge.
Right to it.
I'm just like, this is the answer the GM doesn't actually want to give. Okay, I mean, I can't deny you're 12. So I'll say that at the taxi rank, you hear that there's been some new air of late, newer gangsters in town. They're Eastern European. They're kind of on the increase. Some of the kind of more, the if we want to call them the Italian businessmen, seem to have kind of been pushed a little bit and squeezed a little bit. So that's kind of what you're hearing at rank, but you just so happens that you have somebody in the car that's had far too much to drink, and they tell you that Serge Vidalis is a cousin of a kingpin who you would never want to mess with for fear of not only your life but of your family's life, your friends' lives, your dog's life, and everybody's life. And his name is Anatoly Vidalis. He is a kingpin and not to be messed with at all.
That's weird. I mean, if he's such a big hitter, why is he interested in a little bar? But then I guess they're taking over the whole area, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. I think the other parts of your information was just a sense of shifting territories and, you know, like this particular family getting more of a piece of the pie increasingly over the last while.
So I found that part about the dynamite. So basically, you get a minimum of 3 juice. Can choose to activate one of the following special improvements by spending 1 juice: large scale effect, permanent effect, or mist hidden effect. As with the 10 plus effect improvements, these special improvements can only be applied to effects created with juice from the same batch. So I think...
So I'm going to take a note just now, Mick, that you have 3 juice, okay, for the future. If you want to pursue investigating this particular thing, not just for anything, but if you want to, so we'll call that Raj's investigations. All right.
Okay. And did they have names, these 3 Jews? Do I know them?
It's basically 3 points to.
Oh, 3 point. Oh, right. 3 juice.
Yep. So
I thought you said something entirely different.
Juice is.
I thought you said 3 Jews.
Yes, this city is just a hodgepodge of cultures, and there maybe was 3 Jews.
I thought that was like these 3 rabbis who know everything or something. I was on a completely different.
I'm just making a little note.
Okay.
All right. So you basically have 3 points to spend.
Sorry, I genuinely thought you said.
So let me tell you a joke. 3 Jews come into the Sam's bar, right? And they give you 3 bits of no, just joking. So you've got 3 points to spend on any dice roll.
Okay.
Relating to investigating this family.
Okay.
Or this mob. How's that?
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense.
There we go.
Now, it makes more sense than the Jews did.
Maybe the Jews gave you the points. Who knows? Any Sam or Windsor, do you want to do anything before we close up?
I'll actually, if you're cool with it, I will. I'll do my stuff at the beginning of next session.
Absolutely, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm gonna have to get going myself.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, time's going on.
The wife would like
in the
to
back
say
of your taxi and Russian mobsters you start asking me about. Why should I know about Russian mobsters? What's it got to do with me?
Very good.
My impersonation of Rabbi Itzi Sufrin, a family rabbi.
Okay, folks.
It's a real person, by the way.
We're going to call it a day here before we offend anybody. And
he's beyond being offended. Is
he super cool? Is he?
He is. He's a cool rabbi. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
He last time I saw him, he high-fived me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice. I like that.
He's cooler than I am. I wouldn't have done. I would have just shaken his hand.
Okay, well, join us for the next enthralling episode of City of Mist next time round for part 2. Thanks for joining us.